time to find out what technical woes will befall me today. I seem to be audible. Alright, I am going to fool around for a short amount of time while people come in. I should probably mute my own stream so that I don't hear myself talking. Clean this up. One 50% is a good size, 160 will do. I need an object. I don't care what it's called. You can go in there. Let me just set up a 3D camera real quick. I just finished eating dinner, otherwise I would have done this on my own. Let's see how fast I can set up a 3D camera. Where are we? Perspective field of view. That's the projection matrix, not the view matrix. If you want to avoid problems later, this should be negative. Matrix build look at. And all right, this should be all I need to have something in 3D running. Hopefully by the time I get this set up, more people will be here. God, I hate this. You are rendering before the background is. Is that okay? I guess I can always check real quick what these other projects do. 3D setup is very much like fire and forget. Views, layers. All right, camera. Depth is 0. Oh, okay, you're not using any of that. Whatever. Draw sprite tiled it is. Are we like visible? Alright, you know what? I can do this the harder way. And just yoink one of these. How's the setup in here? It's very much what it was. Okay, whatever. In a minute we'll get moving and I will explain what I'm actually doing. Player can stay. Alright, so I have a, let's see, should I get rid of the collision stuff? Because I'm not going to need that and that's just going to get in the way a little bit. Get rid of the collision stuff. Really don't need all of that. Alright, we're back. So the goal of today is optimization. And 3D is kind of slow, but that's because GameMaker doesn't do a lot for you and you have to do a lot in GML, and GML is slow, among other things. It also encourages people to maybe do some things that are less than optimal frequently, but that is neither here nor there. I am going to just find a nice tree, and I'm going to put like 1 million of them in the world, and that's going to be slow, and we're going to speed that up over the course of the stream. Where on earth? He organized things. These are good enough. These are still work in progress. I don't want to use them. He organized things, and now he knows where all of his art files are, and I don't. They might be in here still. Tree burning, tree on fire. Alright, well, I can just borrow this. It'll be good enough. That's what, 64 by 64? What did I type in? It wasn't 64 by 64. I think that was 16 by 16. Alright, that's good enough. Texture settings, separate texture page. And then I'm just going to make myself a 3D object representing the tree. It can be like .64 by 64 as well. I like my planar trees. That'll do. We're gonna have to flip it upside down because GameMaker things. Drag that into this thing's included files. I can get rid of this ball nonsense, can't I? Probably don't really need that. Don't need these either. Or this. Get rid of a bunch of the included files also. Player, sphere. The only thing I need is player, I think. And the game should still run. Alright, this is good enough. There's a random spotlight there, that's fine. Let's see. Tree.d3d is this thing. Okay. This is where we're gonna start. I probably should have left open this. But I want to. I'll put this on source control anyway. Just future-proofing myself a little bit. GitHub, desktop. And then we're gonna spawn in like a 500 of these, give or take. This is where I like the font picker. Tree count can be 500. We'll start with that. And let's make it 1,000 just for good measure. We'll just randomly generate these positions. This should be a we'll just spawn trees with a bunch of random positions, and then when we go and draw them for I equals 0, I is less than tree count, we'll draw them the classic way, and that's going to involve position.x, position.y, position.z for 1,000 trees, vertex submit vb underscore tree. Sprite get texture tree sprite. First, I'll comment this out just so that we can see how well it performs without anything special happening. I can, instead of doing this, draw text frame per second, frames per second, FPS real. And I will also keep the average. Why not? Alright, we have performance stats, which are on top of each other, so I cannot read them. Alright, so we're averaging 3600 FPS or so on an empty project. That's fine. If I were to uncomment this, it would plunge, and that's obviously not ideal. Boy, that's odd. Oh, you know what I'm not doing? I'm not resetting the world matrix after this, which I should be. Alright, got some issues with alpha testing. That's fine. It's actually not as bad as I expected it to be. I love alpha testing. This is just cause that's not bad enough, I think. I'm very quiet. I can better. I can increase it further, I just rather not, just in case that distorts it a little. Thanks for letting me know, by the way. Alright, now the frame rate is tanked a little bit. I can tank it some more just for fun. I'll start with this. That is a lot of trees. I will, real quick, take care of the alpha testing. With one line of code in the shader, and there we go. We are drawing 5,000 trees, 10,000 trees, however much it was. They're a little close together, I can space them out. And the frame rate is tanked, and we want to speed that up a little bit. A couple ways to do that. I will find out, well, I know what the best way to do that is going to be, but I will find out what other ways to do that, maybe. Alright, now we can actually see. And we're not getting 60 FPS, or anywhere close to it, in fact. I guess for, just in case I forget how many I'm drawing. Can put that on the screen too. I want to say it's 10,000. Yep, that's 10,000 trees. And the way the GameMaker makes draw sprite fast is combining sprites where it can into a single vertex buffer, and we can attempt to emulate that at least. Let's see. When I load model, do I freeze the vertex buffer? I do. I don't need to do that. If I don't do that, I think it'll actually slow the game down a little further. That was vertex end, not vertex freeze. If I... This is not in the plans for today, but... curious. Okay, that actually did make it like maybe 10%, 15% better or so. I'm not used to vertex freeze actually doing much for drawing this many things, but in that case it did. We can use a handy function called buffer create from vertex buffer. And we can have the type be a fixed size buffer and the alignment be 4, because everything in a vertex buffer is aligned to 4 bytes. And we can do a little bit here. So there's not many people here. I don't know how many of you know how GameMaker's built-in draw sprite works, but it essentially internally pushes a bunch of vertices onto a single vertex buffer. Actually, we can make this a single vertex buffer and submits it all at once, so it doesn't have to set the world matrix a million times. Vertex create buffer. The format is just that. Okay, I can work with that, and we can emulate this. I don't know if it'll slow things up or slow things down or speed them up. Let us create I don't know why I deleted that. Let us create ourselves a function. And yeah, it would be invariably slow, but I don't think this is actually common knowledge as to how it works inside. And it is very interesting for those of you and I who do know. And we're just going to merge these all into one. And again, this may not help much done in GML because GML is GML, but later on I have some other ideas for what I want to do. As well as test it on the YYC. Let's, instead of doing this, what's going on? A lot of fun stuff is going on is what I commented out that. Hang on. I have spawned 10,000 trees and the game is running slow as I can make it. Well, as slow as I dare to make it anyway. And we're going to be speeding this up and seeing how much it can be sped up by. I kind of just left the spotlight there from the original project file that I saved as over. And it's actually fairly helpful for like finding the center of the mess in case I get lost in the trees. Anyway. Vertex begin, vertex end. Technically, you should be doing this in like the step event or something, but what's the format? Vertex underscore format. I guess the other thing is, a lot of the times if you were to do this sort of thing, you would want to do it in the create event and then do them in the create event, but the point that I'm trying to do here is see how it performs in real time. VB combine, the source is going to be, did I just call it buffer tree? And the position is going to be that. You use GMedit for everything. I have been trying to use GMedit more. Whoa. I've been trying to use GMedit more and more because it does a lot of nice things, but for videos and stuff, I typically use the interface, the IDE, because it's what most people are probably familiar with. What is it? Vertex? Hang on, no, wait. Fine. I plus equals. This is a 36-byte vertex format, which is hard-coded for now, but doesn't necessarily have to be. It's going to be vertex position 3D. It's F32s. All right, this is gonna be a mess if I try to do it all in one line. X, Y, and Z. The normals, 12, 16. This is so hard-coded. If you're doing anything with rotation, you would want to also mess with the normals, but yeah, okay, don't have to deal with rotation for anything. Vertex position 3D, XX, Y, Z. That's everything. Vertex, normal. And it should just be all downhill from here. Text, chord, and color. Shift right by 24 bits divided by 255. Okay. What's wrong? Oh. Greetings. Is that a fangirl over there? I should zoom in on chat so I can actually see your names. Greetings. Aside from the spelling errors, yes. Vertex and vertex. There might be an issue with having too many vertices in an unfrozen vertex buffer, but we'll see if this works now. That's a compile error, PR. Okay, so this is actually even worse by like a lot, which is actually way slower than I expected, but it's good data to have. Let me see. It looked the same. Even if we're not actually doing any matrix transforms, I'm going to launch this in the non-beta version of the IDE so I can use the Yo-Yo compiler. Is it opening? The ultimate goal of this is to do it in C++, by the way. But first, let's get something working in GML. No, I just don't have it set up in the beta, and I don't feel like going through the settings. At least there's no issues that I'm aware of. It's just like, what is it? It's over here. Oh, do I have it set up for the beta? That might be the wrong version. I've had issues running it, and it's because I haven't set up all the required configuration things. And okay, this is also very slow. This is just not as slow. That's interesting. If I had a vertex freeze it, I figured I'd be getting at least double digits from that, but let's... Oh, you know what? This would, hang on. I wouldn't be able to just recycle the same one over and over again. Like, this would draw it once and then crash because you can't reinitialize and empty a frozen vertex buffer. No matter. I hope this actually at least gets it to double digits. Nope, that's approximately the same. Alright, anyway. Yes, a DLL extension. I guess I might as well open that now. It's not going to be quite straightforward, but the math is fairly simple. And it should be fast, but there are vertex buffers, and that sort of thing are a little bit messier. And when you just throw the pointer at C++, where was it? This one. Let's split that in half. Alright, so I'm going to wait for this to unfreeze because Visual Studio is unbearably slow the first time you open it. I'm suddenly kind of expecting that this is not going to be quite as performant as I was hoping. But much less of it is going to be happening in something that is not GML, so I hope to see at least a 10 times speed increase, probably more. Generally, interpreted GML is about 10 times slower than Yo-Yo compiler GML, although you see it didn't really pan out there. And Yo-Yo compiler GML is probably 3 or 4 times slower than the equivalent in regular C++. Is the stream okay? My computer is suddenly taking its time doing all this. Visual Studio in general is often just like, seriously. Greetings, Juan. Just to make this a little bit more, the stream is fine, that's good to know. I have apparently not dropped any frames yet, so that's a good sign. I suppose just to make this a little more bearable. Freezing them in create. This is... Normally you would do that. What I am trying to do here is find a way to do it in real time, so if you are not like building a level ahead of time in the create event, and you want to instead have a level that can change, but you also don't want to have a million things being drawn, or 200,000 things being drawn anyway. And I am seeing how fast I can speed that up with some clever bits of code. Unity games? No, Unity is somewhere on here. Unity is this thing. I can Just add a new project, can I? The new project dialog crashed. Thank you, Visual Studio. DLL. What would be a non-stupid name for this? Fast 3D object, fast 3D stuff. I guess I can technically rename it later if I want to, although it'll be a bit of work to go through and change all the names. But yeah, normally I would just do this in the create event or something and then not give it a second thought. You know what, just so that we can see exactly what it performs like if I do that. It's going to be very fast, I just don't know how fast. But for a specific thing that I am doing, I would greatly prefer to have the ability to do it in something resembling real time. I need to comment out all of this, and you can kind of, if you really like doing math and shaders, you can kind of animate stuff with frozen vertex buffers that you built in the create event or whatever, or even better loaded from a file. Yeah. If you do this ahead of time, FPS averages, what was that, 3,800 or so? If you really like shaders and math and dual quaternions and that kind of witchcraft, you can do this in ahead of time and just animate it with a shader, but that is not today. I was just doing DLL stuff like a couple days ago, and I've already forgotten how I would want to set it up. Just going to add an external file in the form of the header for GameMaker. Add existing item. That's this one. And that's all I have to do. Later on, I'll be smart about this and split this into the header file and the header file and the main C++ file, but that can wait for some other day. Oh god, it's gumming. Hi, Gummy. When I gave you the link, I didn't mean for you to actually, like, join. God. Alright, so this is gonna be one... probably one function, mostly. And it's going to be complaining about, like, everything. Oh, it needs to be, I need to actually point to the directory, don't I? Come on. Hey, Gamma, do you like C++? Oh, you thought I was doing video game things? It happens. I need to initialize something else in properties. And I've done this like 5 times now and I already can't remember what it is. Include directories? What is it? Is it the, help? C++ general, additional include directors, C++ general. Okay, yes. It's gonna be this one. I remember now. Okay, now the errors have gone. This is something else, which is not right now. Vertex buffer combine. I'm going to give it, I think, in the name of doing it all in one shot. And it's really going to be a, actually no, I need integers and floating point number, so that'll just do some things I'm probably not supposed to do. Greetings, Alamar. There's a couple ways I can think of doing this. Okay, so I'll give it 2 buffers, one which is going to be the target vertex buffer and one which is going to be the tree, basically. And a length, because we don't have like array length or anything when we go to a DLL, and we have to do it manually if we don't want the program to explode violently. And I'm going to need the input-output stream for that. Oh, right, I'm going to need to give it the positions as well. All right, I want to do several other things here, but trying to do them all at once is a good way to have this program crash. Do you really... Can I configure Visual Studio to not look for the precompiled headers? I know I saw that option somewhere. Where are the precompiled headers? Don't use those. Thank you. This is basically the hello world to make sure that the GameMaker can actually talk to the DLL, which is admittedly not the hard part. It puts it out in here, doesn't it? Fast 3D stuff.dll. Okay, so from there, external call type, and return type doesn't really matter. TY real? TY real. Arg number. We got 3 of them, right? 3 arguments. God, how do you pass a pointer? I think it wants to be a string. Actually, wait, I don't need to open up a test project. I've already got one. Yeah, okay, so pointers are strings. TY string, and no. TY real. External call. This is where we really get to mess with pointers. Okay, how many vertices are in each of these trees? I want to say it's like there's 3 sides, so that's 6 faces, 12 triangles, 36 triangles times 12,092. So I'm gonna hard code yet another thing and multiply that by, what do I have now, 2,000? So we're gonna allocate a buffer that's 2 megabytes or so. All right. That's what that's going to be. The target buffer is going to be that one. The source buffer is going to be the next address. Oh, I also buffer get size. We do need 3 more arguments. So that would be what, 6? 1, 2, 3 for the position that we're going to be adding stuff at. And it's not actually going to do anything. It's just going to print out to the console as the hello world. It's probably not going to work on the first try, but we can read the error message and see what it has. Wrong number of arguments to external define. Name, call type. Oh, I also need the function name. DLL functions with more than 4 arguments cannot have string arguments. That's actually really annoying. Can I make these pointers real numbers instead, usually you would use so usually you would use strings for that, but let's see if this at least runs. If I can get the data, and I can switch this back to the VM now because I'm not doing anything with that. If it prints out many illegal buffer index. Oh, that's because this is still a vertex buffer, isn't it? What was it? 1296 times tree count. Buffer fixed and aligns to 4. This is fun. Okay, so even when it's doing nothing, it's actually not performing very well, which is unfortunate. At least part of that, if I were to open this up in the DLL, and it's also, oh, it is, well, printing it out is automatically slow. If I were to open it up in the debugger, I have a feeling a lot of that would be invoking the DLL 2,000 times. Although that's still better than what we were getting before. Let me replace that. And okay, so the fact that you are basically not receiving the pointers is annoying. If I can I trick the computer into thinking those are integers? I think I actually might have done that. Alright, I might have gotten around that little issue with pointers. That's nice. This is a suspiciously even number, though. But there are ways to fix this. I think it worked with the first one. Make a symbolic link between the build folder and the project folder. You mean basically a shortcut? I could. For some of the other ones, I've got a batch file that I just click and run and it automatically copies it, but I have not yet done that for this one. Oh, you know what? Hang on. When it goes and does the old cout, it's still printing them as hex, apparently. Those aren't the values I'm looking for. Oh well. Hey Nom, you do fun things with GameMaker. Do you have a nice way of getting around the little issue where if you external define a function with more than 4 arguments, you can't use strings? Just curious. Otherwise, I can always just break this up into 2 functions and do it like twice and do it in 2 halves, but it's obviously not ideal. Anyway. The most GM thing ever to happen. Yeah, the external defined function is like straight out of like GameMaker 6 or something ancient like that. I'll just stick that there. Nom, so what you're saying is if I were to just like create a symbolic link, basically a shortcut from here to the data files folder, it would just go. Do I have to use external define? Oh, can I just like use a GameMaker extension? That might actually be easier. I'd forgotten about those. What would it be? Paste shortcut? Will it recognize this? I'll try it like this first, and then once I get it going. Actually, you know what? That might save me more time than it would use, so maybe I should do it now. It's not seeing it that way. Do I have to do something else in Windows to make this... to put that there? You see, when it does that, I don't know if it's because it didn't see the shortcut and it like didn't find the file, or if it's because I forgot to update this. With the 7th parameter, and forgot to update that with the 7th parameter. I know shortcuts work for some things, and you could just like treat them as the actual files, but I don't know if they work for everything. Anyway. If not, I'll just, yeah, that caused problems. If not, I'll just keep manually copying them over and deal with this when I'm not streaming sometime. Okay, so the command is make link. Interesting. In the data files folder. Cannot create a file when it already exists. Probably because the real file is already there. Seriously. This may or may not actually be part of PowerShell, but... Windows, why are you like this? I could have sworn there used to be open command prompt as administrator in the file menu in Windows Explorer, but no. Alright, symbolic link created. And now I see it's this is not quite a regular shortcut. Fascinating. Thank you. The biggest limitations in GameMaker for 3D rendering currently, mostly lack of API access. You can submit a vertex buffer and you can do shader stuff, but you can't do some of the other fancy things that you might want to do. For example, with any modern version of GLSL shader language. But yeah. Yeah, it sees it. Okay, it's running about as fast as before. Let me see how much of that slowdown is actually coming from printing to the console 2,000 times a draw, because printing to the console does tend to be rather slow. Okay, yes. So, given that math is actually fast, this might actually work out the way I want it to, assuming I can I'm actually using the buffer addresses that I think I am. What does this appear as in Git? Okay, so it's kind of just a text file which contains the link to the symbolic link. And I guess Windows just has some metadata about it as a special file type. Interesting. The next order of business is because I want to know if this is actually what I think it is. You know what would be really nice in GameMaker also if vertex buffers and regular buffers are one and the same, because I foresee the go-between to be another source of slowdown. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If we just read the first byte, the first float out of, what is it, dereference source data. What do you want now? Expression must be a pointer to a complete object type. Oh, do I have to cast it to a float or something? Something gross like this. Actually, you know what? We don't actually care to do anything with the color byte at the end, so it really can just be it really can just be whatever, a float pointer instead of a void one. I feel like I'm making so many C++ gurus mad right now by using the language like this. We're in an infinite loop, I think. I don't know why that would be an infinite loop instead of just the thing outright crashing. Which tells me that maybe this is not in fact the address that I want it to be. I am allowed to probably mad about float. We'll find out. We'll deal with the position later if I have to, if that would make the computer happy. I can pass those in separately later. Does it have to be a character pointer? I've been able to do it with other types, with regular types. I know the manual for like ancient history versions of GameMaker said it had to be a character pointer, basically a string. Probably because that's what the return type of things like buffer get address and window handle and stuff were, but I've been able to do it with other types. This is a window get address, and I have some other ones that are buffers somewhere. This one here, this takes a basically a buffer full of like int 32s or something, and it takes it as an int pointer, and it's fine. So I think you can use other data types. Before it was accepting it, it just wasn't giving me what I think was the correct answer. I should close some of these. But yeah, I can try it with a character pointer and see what it does. Did I ever run that after clicking build? It's still freezing. And failing. Is it a problem with like whatever this is? Because I'm trying to also give it the offset to write the data to in the future, and not using it now, and I wonder if there's something wrong with that. It is returning something, isn't it? It's fun, XOR, and also infuriating, but also fun. Yep. Alright. I wonder if it's like seg faulting and not telling me or something. I suspect if I get this working, it'll be fairly fast. Okay, yeah, if I... commenting this out fixed it, so that probably should tell me that maybe I'm doing things with pointers that the computer doesn't want me to do. Even that's killing it. Okay. Oh, you know what I can do? Is treat this as an array, because arrays and pointers are basically the same thing. In this example here, this is the one that I had up earlier that was taking an integer pointer, and it indeed takes 2 arguments, string and real, and it's an integer pointer and a double for the real value type. I'll try a one of these. Let me close some of these GameMaker windows so they're not distracting me. Is that the right one? That is not the right one. Do not run that one. That's going to take a while. string, string, and 2 reals. And if I was, if I was running it earlier, it was fine. So it can at least see the function. And it is just treating it like an array here. Oh, you know what it is? Okay, wow. It was expecting a pointer. It was getting just a number. Just slightly changing code until it doesn't crash. Yeah, I think that one was my fault for being an idiot, though. Alright, let's just change one thing at a time. And, not cast the, why was I even doing that in the first place? Oh, that was to get around the issue with the 7 arguments, wasn't it? But yeah. The biggest pain, but also rather fun in other ways. Okay, so negative 32 is what you're printing out. If I were to print out the whole thing, it would probably, negative 32 does indeed look like what the vertex position is when I made the tree model at the beginning of the stream. Negative 32, negative 28, negative 24. That's, is that what it was? That sounds approximately correct. And I doubt I would getting numbers that look anything like, anything close to the actual vertex if I, was just reading from a random location in memory. What am I looking for? Yep, that's basically what it is. Negative 24, though? Alright, well... I'm not sure if that's what it is. Should be negative 32, 0, 0. I don't know how to feel about that. Like, it's just close enough that it looks plausible, but it's also wrong. And I don't think there actually are any vertices in that file that have that exact position, unless it was rounding it when it was printing it out, which I don't think. Oh, was I adding them instead of... Oh, I was totally adding them instead of concatenating, wasn't I? Yeah. Negative 32, 0, 0. Now it's correct. Okay, I have less reason to be suspicious. So... If we hard code the positions to not have any like transform information or anything, but This is going to cause all the trees to basically be on top of each other. Oh, you know, I will need that for normal, UV, and color. 3, 4, 5. Lest I want all those other things to basically be zeroed out. I missed something somewhere. There we go. Also, greeting, Daniel. I don't think I said that. Awkward. Are you a friend of XOR? That was still running at the same speed, which makes me think it's not actually doing anything. Is the length correct? The length is correct. And bump into each other on Twitter. That is valid. I believe there are 36 points that are exactly the same in that vertex buffer that I am trying to draw, so they're basically of 0 size. And it's still not there. Oh, that's because I'm not drawing it, isn't it? Vertex buffer, create from buffer, vertex create, vertex create buffer from buffer. This may actually be the slow part. Much more so than the actual math in C++ land. So if there's something that actually makes this like not actually that good, I suspect it'll be that. That did not appear to do anything. Anyway, yeah, the GameMaker land is that's zero vertices in there. GameMaker land is surprisingly a small world, and you do tend to bump into people if you're around for long enough. Particularly in like the computer graphics side of things, because there aren't as many of us nerds doing that. Vertex create buffer from buffer. I'm not using this wrong, am I? There's like 10 of us. Yeah. Buffer. Maybe 20. On a good day. What are you doing? that just like something wrong in the cache or something? That just died. I've never seen Vertex create buffer from buffer fail before. It's got to at least be created, otherwise it would just crash. Does giving it to the DLL mess it up or something? From here it's just going to be like filled full of zeros. Most mysterious. Where's somewhere else that I do this? I don't think you should have to do anything special there. If I were to... set a breakpoint like there, and then debug it. Is it because the alignment is like 4 or something? Okay, one, that doesn't look correct. It's the right size, but... I'm messing up bytes and like values, aren't I? That might have been a problem. I don't think that was the problem. Yeah. Let's see what's in this, oh, this is the source one, and it's still kinda... Do these look the same? BF8, followed by a bunch of zeros. 0, 0. Oh, hang on, this is probably... I made the alignment 4 because these are all size 4, but that might not actually be doing what I want. 3D gang assembles. Nope, still not doing what I want. Every time I close the debugger, the buffers tab goes away. Possibly, I was also doing it in like here. which may not be really useful. Not sure if that's going to affect the way an external DLL will read anything out of the buffer, but nope, aligning it to 1 makes it look the same. Although there is a lot of garbage after this. Maybe that's why. Unfortunately, it's like 2 in the morning in Norway, isn't it? Otherwise, I'm sure Snyder would be here telling me exactly what's going wrong. So there's like... Is this filled with junk? Is this writing garbage? Our Lord and Savior Snyder, yes. Okay, this put it there. This may have just been like, wow, I thought GameMaker initialized buffers to 0 when it allocated them, but apparently not? Does the debugger just have issues displaying buffers after a certain point? Is that what's going on? Anyway. Daniel, I will have to check out what you were doing after this. That sounds interesting. As part of the 3D gang. Okay, so I'm going to create a second function. This is definitely going to slow things down, but given the limit, with regards to DLL extension arguments, it may be hard to avoid. X is going to equal I can like declare globals up here, right, in C++. Pretty sure I can. Or if not globals, something else. Oh, thank you. I will, as soon as this is done, I will have to go have a look to see what you're up to. Oh, yeah. The return type isn't important, you just can't have a void in GameMaker. what was it called? Vertex position, vertex set position. It's really like object set position or whatever, but that'll do. And then call it. Position.xyz. Now we're kind of doing it in 2 steps. This might work. And it doesn't. Which I find very interesting. Oh, that's because I'm only doing this what? No, I'm doing it many times. The frame rate was dropping again. But they are all popping up at the same place. Are they floats or doubles? They're doubles, aren't they? Yeah, okay, those take doubles. I need to... C++ people, can you just cast a double to a float and lose position and that's it? Or do you have to do that reinterpret cast? Double to float. Okay, so it's just the normal cast. Okay. The computer is smart enough about that. It says there are 72,000 vertices in this vertex buffer though, which sounds about right if you multiply 36 vertices per tree times 2,000 trees. Oh, you know what? The other, I'm not actually... wasn't actually using that, was I? So I was just writing to the, to the same location every time. So all the trees basically ended up on top of each other. Now I think this should work. This looks amazing. Yeah. Yeah. It's doing like 1 triangle per tree. I'm not sure if it's putting them in the right spot. And then the rest of them are just getting like mushed all over. There is an off by something error somewhere. Art. Very much art. Did I take a screenshot of that? We just grab Alt, print screen, and save it to MS Paint. That looks amazing. An absolute win. Game dev does not get better than this. X, Y, Z, normal X, normal Y, normal Z, X texture, Y texture, and color data. It's like it's going... it's hard to tell because it's all over the place. The normals I think are correct. The texture coordinates I think are correct. The colors are certainly correct, otherwise it would be like a rainbow of disaster, not anything remotely tree colored. I am being summoned on Discord. I don't think this is important right now, but thank you all the same, Discord. It's 36 bytes in the vertex format, isn't it? This is three values, another 3 values, so that's 6, 8, 9. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing any more. And 9 times 4 bytes each is 36 bytes. I should be committing more often than this. All the time when I am recording my screen and writing code, I forget to commit as often as I'd like to. Something about talking that makes it hard to remember. Also, converting the buffer to the vertex buffer down here did not take nearly as much time as I expected it to. It's still running decently fast, isn't it? And there are yeah, average 53 FPS, which is about what it was before I started messing with anything at all. And I do strongly suspect there is one more thing I could do to get a significant boost further out of this. We're giving you the right arguments. And then it feels sort of like something's gone out of whack. This would just put like this. I was basically writing 4 copies of the same tree. And I think they would have overwritten themselves neatly if that was the issue, but earlier I was counting it in like bytes per vertex or bytes per tree, and it should be vertices per tree. Yeah, that's still the same sort of wrong as it was before. And I think even the texture coordinates are correct, although it's obviously very hard to tell. It's just that something after the first one is going weird. And it may have to do with the offsets there. I'm actually surprised I didn't segfault, because it would have been way out of bounds for the source buffer. I say segfault, and GameMaker just crashes. Now there's nothing at all. Oh. Nope, okay, that's fine, because that's, I is going up to the length of the source buffer. That's not it. Let's see if the starting address is what I think it is. It's 2 buffers, a length, and an address are the order that I should be passing things into here. And if I go about all the way back up to the beginning, 0, 36, 72, 108, 144, that's correct. Actually, no, it's not. Okay. I think I know what's wrong. Did I rebuild that? I did not rebuild that, did I? That feels like a seg fault. How many vertices are in the tree again? That is how many bytes each of these trees should take up. 324. There we go. Okay. Yes. And this is doing the same thing as before at about a 10% higher frame rate than I was when I was doing nothing. So that's progress. There is always room for improvement. Let me get rid of this breakpoint. Let me get rid of this printout because we are convinced that that is working. What was it? It is not that one. Which one is it? .3D buffering test, I'm blind. This is already better than what we had. If I were to time this, it would take a... Oh, no, wait, you know what? Drawing them all individually... How many do I have now? I had 2,000. Drawing them individually, it took about that long for 5 times more, so this actually isn't an improvement, but I do think there is still something I could do to make it much, much better. We got trees. If I were to increase the density, this is still better than doing it in native GML by a fair amount. Frame rate is about 3 times higher than it was in native GML. We are still communicating with the DLL an awful lot. Each tree is doing 2 calls to the DLL. I should probably be able to, like... where's the profiler? I should be able to do this in just a couple DLL calls per draw. If I were to profile this, we'd be seeing a lot of time spent in the external call. Where are we? Oh, buffer fill is still taking... I can get rid of that, can't I? That should double it. Now that I figured out why it was causing problems before. I should more than double it. Okay, but it's actually all invisible now. Interesting. It's being filled either way. I don't see why it matters if I erase it first. Are the trees all dynamic? Yeah, that's the idea. That's otherwise, as several people in the chat earlier said, you would ordinarily do this in the create event and just regular GML, or bake it to a file and just load the file. But the hope here is that I can basically re-implement draw sprite in 3D. Yeah. I have a... I don't want to call it a need, but I'd like to be able to basically move all these things individually in something resembling real time without having to like have a separate vertex buffer for each of them or do any annoying shader nonsense. Why does buffer fill matter? I feel like that shouldn't matter. It's not, it wouldn't be 324 is the number of doubles per tree. 1296 is the number of bytes. Let's see what's actually in this buffer in the debugger. Is that debug mode? That's not debug mode. It's faster. This is what it should be performing like, but it just died because it's attempting to allocate too much space. Am I not buffer freeing or something? Is that a GameMaker bug? That just has a feel like it's a GameMaker bug. Or you know what I'm doing or not doing is the case where buffer delete. And again, this is a little bit extra work. Didn't make a difference. This is a little extra work that the computer is doing, but later on I should be able to get away with not doing it. I need to pause the game for that, don't I? See you later, Daniel. I hope this ends the way I want it to. I will have to check out what you've been up to after this. Let's see. This is a little, not how I'd like to do it, but we can just pre-allocate that, I guess. We don't really need a buffer seek to the beginning or anything like that because it's going to, the data is going to be poked into the exact location anyway. I helped you a lot with a battle system. Good, cool. I'm glad you found them useful. Battle systems are fun. They're a lot of work, but they're very fun, I think. You can do them, do a lot of different things with them. I hope you found the same. This is the big one. Is that the right size? 12 megabytes, 960 kilobytes. I feel like that's not the right size. Oh, it probably is because I increased the tree count, didn't I? That's the right size. 3D bullet hell that breaks the fourth wall. Very important, breaking the fourth wall. So except for the beginning bytes, it looks like this is indeed full of all the correct data. I really wish the regular buffers and vertex buffers could just be considered one and the same. This is very weird, though. Is it a buffer seek issue? I don't think so, because the buffer read-write position shouldn't, the buffer tell, as it were, shouldn't have anything to do with this, since this is basically the C++ equivalent of buffer poke, and it's just putting them all in the exact position. And nothing else really depends on the buffer tell in here anywhere, as far as I know. Lots of draws without loss of FPS, kind of. That's debatable. The idea is certainly to make it faster. At any rate. Yeah, it's averaging like 13 FPS right now. It should be able to do at least 50, and if I manage to optimize this the way I'd like it to, it should be able to go much higher than that. Doing this, drawing them one by one in regular GameMaker would give you about 50 or so, and I want to at least double that. The issue speed currently, according to the debugger, is this little line here, but I honestly don't know why it seems to matter, because we're filling the entire buffer anyway. It 10,000 trees, you can only handle 30. I do have a decent computer, which helps, and that makes it slightly unfair when it comes to comparisons, but all the same, there is work to be done here. All your objects have to track the camera. Oh, so they're doing other things in GML as well. That definitely does add up. You know what? Hang on. Oh no, wait. Nope, okay, that was the wrong number. Alright, let's bump that back down to 2 just to make this a little bit more manageable, and then run this in debug mode, which I did not do. I keep missing the debug button. F6, F5. Yeah, scream at me on Twitter or something, Duplator, and I will look after this. This is off by something. This is not what we had before. This should be... I feel like this is 32 bytes per vertex all of a sudden. And then... No. 32 bytes per vertex, because there are 8 columns in the debugger, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no. Okay, so this display can expand. That's useful. The first 6 characters in here, no. 8 times 3. The first 12 characters in here should be different. After that, all the characters in these rows columns should be more or less the same, because they're just going in and out of the buffer as is. Two, 5, 9, 2,000 divided by 36 times 4. No? Wait. Alright, that is the number of bytes divided by 4 bytes per value. It's my assumption that there are 36... Oh, there are 12 triangles in here. I may have been messing something up from the very beginning. that would just be address plus equals 36, and the initial buffer size should be 36 times 4 bytes, right? 12 triangles, 36 bytes for vertex, so that's 12 times 6 times 4. No, 12 times 6. 12 times 36. I am not gonna do that math in my head, so no. 432. Alright, so each tree is 432 bytes instead of I wonder how I came up with 36 instead of 12. Must have multiplied by 3 an extra time. Oh, you know what? That is the number of... Yeah. This is triangles and not vertices, so it is 36. Let me just run this and see what happens. It's probably going to crash. Okay, no, we're back off to the same off by whatever error that we had before. Now we've only got half of them. This is wrong, but in a different way. And that just probably seg-faulted. This should be increasing by the number of doubles per triangle, which is 9 times 36. What was that again? Alright, 324. That's what we had before. Speaking for a friend. Alright, now they're here. What did I change? Oh no, it's buffer fill is uncommented again. But if I get rid of it, it's gone. If I just... what if I make tree count 1? What if I only add 1 tree? It's still not there. In this case, it should basically just be a buffer that is nearly identical to the source buffer. Except for the positions, and it's the same size. Do I have to, like, I don't know if XOR is still here. Do I have to do what he said and... like, move the seek position to the beginning or the end or something like that? Maybe the end? So keep up the great work. Thank you, friend. Right now, great work is a little bit debatable. All of the trees are disappearing, but I'm working on it. let me use let me do something that's a little bit weird and use the best debugging tool of Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to kind of do a visual diff of the, not now, thank you. I'm just going to kind of do a visual diff of the buffer. If I pause the game, grab the buffer window, and here it's working, I think. I don't know where it is, but the tree kind of could be anywhere in the room, but I think it's working. Is this the version that should be working or not? This is the version that should not be working, okay. And if I were to take a screen grab, yes, I know, and put that in there, and then this is the version that's not working. I better title it that so I can tell, and then do it again with the working version, and then overlay the two buffer views. You know, this one is behaving, and the tree is in the right place. All of its points are in the right place. We'll see if I can spot the difference. Actually, that was the wrong one the first time around. Dissolve, darken, multiply. This should help me at least see the difference visually, because they should sort of cancel. If I get it frame perfect. Oh, okay, let's Alright, this blend mode will do. Visual diffs. So except for the actual positions and the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters, these are the same. And of course Z, so it's really the first two positions, because Z is going to be 0 regardless. There's no, as far as I can tell, rogue data that would be messing it up. They both have the same amount of data. And they're both more or less in the same places. Type fix, size 1296, tell 1296, alignment 1. And again, that's F5, not F6. Type fix, size 1296, tell is that, and alignment is that, and this is the version that's not working. Yeah, these two buffers are the same. Is this a bug in GameMaker? Do I have to report a bug? I've done a lot of that lately. All right, you know what? Just to test one more thing. These 10,000 trees were clocking about 13 FPS real in Yo-Yo compiler mode and the runner mode. I have not tested that with the Yo-Yo compiler, so it may actually be quite a bit faster like this. What's the problem? The problem is that a line of code that shouldn't have any effect is having an effect, which unfortunately happens to crash the game, or at least make it not do what it's supposed to do. This is... Alright, much of the bottleneck is still in the DLL. The Yo-Yo compiler actually didn't really help that much. I was wondering if just speeding up the loop would help, but... Can I just, like, fill in the end of the buffer? Like this. That's the offset. The type is that. Value is bunch of zeros and 100 of them. Can I fool it into thinking it's been cleared? I can. That feels awful. How much can I fool it? Can I just like set the last byte in the buffer to 0? Or it would have to be 4, wouldn't it? Because that would have run out of bounds. Yeah. Okay. And then if you wanted, each of these trees could like move independently of each other. It's not quite what it was without messing with anything, but again, much of the bottleneck is calling the DLL 20,000 times a step, an update, which is not great. I do not know why. Is XOR still here? Is there a viewer list? XOR is not still here. Let's see the move. Okay, let me just... I didn't make any changes to the DLL itself, did I? No. Before I commit, let me just... Okay. Making the move. I'm not sure how I would want to make the move, but I can do something like... Give them a random... That's going to be very hard to see. I'll give them a random up and down motion. They're dancing. Alright, that's fast. But yeah, now they're all moving independently. Obviously, it's just kind of a wave equation now. This is very... Wow. This is still within the realm of movement that you could do with a shader, but it's happening in real time. No no shader magic needed. This is purely programmatic. It's not deterministic the way you would see with a shader. And it's running at about the same speed that doing it before was. So there's very little performance overhead. Obviously, calculating the actual position here takes a couple extra CPU cycles that are not there when they're just sitting still, but 10,000 is very much an extreme case. A more likely number that you'd be likely to use would be probably 1,000 or 2,000, and it would be working much better there. If I cut that down to 1,000, how's it going to perform? Probably a couple hundred FPS. Average about 300 or so, yeah. This is definitely doable. Alright. Just so that they don't make me insane, I'm going to slow that down. I'll leave the motion there, but it is 10:30 at night. I should probably call it soon. Maybe I'll come back to this tomorrow and try and speed it up further, but... Alright. 2 hours, 18 minutes. Yeah, I should probably call it now. It is... I didn't notice the time. How do you code? Well... That depends on how much you want to, drive yourself a little crazy, but... It's practice, I suppose you could say. That is much of what is on my YouTube channel, if that helps. Anyway, if you want to mess around with this, I will throw a link to the GitHub repository in the chat in a moment. And then I am going to call it here, but I will probably do this again tomorrow because I want to do more with this tomorrow. But thank you all for dropping by. This was fun. Do I have an end stream thing? That's not really what I was looking for, but I guess it'll do. That should be what it says. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's better. Yeah. I'm really bad at ending streams.